Wouldn't time travel be awesome? You could go back and kill that naughty chap with the silly mustache, or jump forward and just find out how realistic those sex dolls could get. Time travel has always been a go-to for films, as it always provides interesting what-if scenarios and brain-melting moments for fans to argue over. Yet, as this list shows, maybe those dials are best left unturned, as messing with time doesn't always turn out how you'd like it to. From existence-shattering to alternate realities that aren't so human-friendly, it's high time that we take a look at some of the worst examples. With this in mind, I'm Jules for WhatCulture.com, and these are 7 movie characters who suffered the most from time travel. Number 7. Joe either lives to lose his wife or kills himself. Looper. For sociopaths not above murdering strangers, becoming a looper seems like a pretty plum job. You occasionally have to kill somebody sent back in time for gold and then get to spend the rest of your life partying, dripping drugs into your eyes and almost running over children in slums. Sounds f***ing dope. Well, aside from one minor subclause in your contract, eventually your criminal bosses will want to, air quotes, close your loop, a fancy term for sending your future version back in time for you to kill. Though that sounds bad, it's actually worse for Joe. When they try to close his loop, his future version escapes and attempts to hunt down the leader of the crime syndicate. It all culminates in young Joe killing himself and closing his own loop without having any of the drug money-fueled fun he was promised. And that sucks. Number 6. David Cole fails to save the world and dies. 12 Monkeys. Another Bruce Willis flick, 12 Monkeys sees Dave, big old Dave, slung back to the 90s to stop an outbreak of a virus that decimated humanity. He begins his investigation with the army of the 12 Monkeys, but the big twist is that the army is really just a group of animal activists who want to release Central Park's zoo animals into New York. The real person responsible isn't really linked. And to top it all off, Dave is killed trying to stop the outbreak, an event he himself witnessed when he was much younger. While Back to the Future shows that traveling back in time offers the hero a chance to change the future, here it is an inevitable loop and humanity will always succumb to the virus. But at least the animals got set free, so I guess that's nice. Number 5. Biff Tannen creates more suffering for himself. Back to the Future. Marty McFly always comes out of his time-traveling exploits in pretty good shape, but the same cannot be said for Biff Tannen. I mean, he is a dick and potential rapist, but he also makes a lot of situations worse for himself. In Back to the Future 2, Biff steals the DeLorean and travels back from 2015 to 1955 to give his younger self a sports almanac, which sets in motion a series of events that sees him not only disgraced, but also his ancestors as well. Of course, given his previous bullying actions and complete lack of foresight, it's pretty hard to feel sorry for him. Number 4. Sean Fentress is the only person to lose out. Source code. Like Quantum Leap's Sam Beckett, Jake Gyllenhaal's Colter Stevens finds himself thrust unwittingly into the past and must help people around him to complete his goal. It all sounds pretty rough, but when you consider that he's actually a comatose war victim on life support, it's probably the better option. In the end, he figures out that source code is actually creating a new parallel universe, so he goes back one last time to save everyone and start out a new, safe timeline where he can live happily with his new love Christina. What a nice, happy ending, except the guy whose body Colter is taking over. I guess you can't save everyone. Number 3. David rips himself from existence. Project Almanac. The story of Project Almanac is pretty standard time-traveling stuff. Friends discover the technology, start using it to have a good time, and then things start to mess up. When David starts jumping alone, things get muddled and past selves keep meeting, which in this version of the tech leads to that person being erased from reality. In the end, he goes back to his scientist father and sets the timeline right, inadvertently leaving his recorded footage as a memento to his future self. This is all played out as rather happy, but you need to stop and think of it like this. The first version, the original people, have been ripped from existence, and quite painfully from the looks of it. Number 2. Skynet is causing its own destruction. The Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You could argue that everybody suffers from time travel in the Terminator universe, but at least they all get vaguely positive outcomes. The real loser is actually Skynet. After all, the whole idea of sending an Arnie-looking T-800 back in time in the first film is motivated by imminent defeat. It's a last-ditch effort by Skynet to avert destruction. So, every time there's a new Terminator movie, that essentially means Skynet is getting defeated once more in another timeline. But it gets worse than that in the sequel. Sending the liquid metal T-1000 back affords John and Sarah Connor the ability to actually avert Skynet's creation itself. Much like a bomb with a huge "do not push this button" on it in the hands of the What Culture staff, this idiotic unit pretty much engineered its own destruction. Sure, this is all retconned anyway in the later entries, but does anyone really count them? At number 1, Aaron and Abe ruin their friendship. Primer. Primer follows two friends, Aaron and Abe, who accidentally create a time machine. It works in a loop with people traveling back the same amount of time they remain in the machine. At first, they use it to make a quick buck on the stock exchange, but as things get out of hand, Abe uses a backup machine to undo all of their meddling. However, Aaron has already cottoned onto this, sending himself further back and taking control of the technology. And then things get really weird. Honestly, explaining it would lead to full-on brain explosions, so it's best not to try. Anyway, as the credits roll, there are three versions of Aaron: one who was drugged, one who runs away to France, and one who disappears elsewhere, and two Abes, the original one and the one who traveled back in time. In what has only been 5 days, they've not only had their friendship blown wide apart, but their lives have been irreversibly ruined, and it's only going to get more messy. The final scene shows Aaron attempting to build an even bigger version of the machine with much grander plans. And it leads you to say, uh-oh.
Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to subscribe below, and also the people who made this video, they're right here, so go and follow them and give them some love. If you want to see more content, there's probably some stuff flowing up above my head. Why not check it out? It could be fun. I'm not your dad.